HOA Karen cut my land's signal tower. Too bad it was a backup node for a satellite uplink. What would you do if your nosy neighbor took a chainsaw to your property, thinking they were saving the neighborhood, only to unravel a disaster of their own making? In the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, where manicured lawns and picket fences reigned supreme, Karen Whitaker was the self-appointed queen of the HOA, with her clipboard in hand and a penchant for spotting violations from a mile away. She ruled with an iron fist. Her latest target? The 15-foot metal tower in Jake Martinez's backyard. To Karen, it was an eyesore, a blight on the neighborhood's pristine aesthetic. To Jake, it was a lifeline backup node for a satellite uplink he'd installed for his remote IT consultancy. Karen's crusade began with a flurry of emails. Unsightly structure, she typed furiously, citing vague HOA bylaws about maintaining community standards. Jake, a soft-spoken tech wizard who'd moved to Willow Creek for its peaceful vibe, tried to explain. The tower was critical for his work, he wrote, and it was legally compliant under FCC regulations for satellite communications. He even offered to paint it to blend with the trees. But Karen wasn't interested in compromise. Her mission was clear. The tower had to go. One sunny Saturday, while Jake was out of town for a client meeting, Karen took matters into her own hands. Armed with a rented chainsaw and a smug sense of righteousness, she marched into Jake's backyard, ignoring the private property sign. With a few aggressive cuts, the tower came crashing down, sparking and splintering as it hit the ground. Karen dusted off her hands, satisfied. "That's how you protect property values," she muttered, dragging the wreckage to the curb for pickup. But Karen had no idea what she'd just unleashed. The tower wasn't just some random antenna, it was a backup node for a satellite uplink that Jake had set up as part of a contract with a regional internet provider. That provider, Skylink Solutions, used the node to ensure uninterrupted service for hundreds of rural customers, including a nearby emergency response hub. When the tower went down, the system automatically rerouted to the primary node. But the damage was done. The backup was offline, and Skylink's engineers were instantly alerted. By Monday morning, Jake was back home, staring at the mangled remains of his tower in disbelief. His phone buzzed with furious voicemails from Skylink, demanding to know why their node was down. Worse, he found a handwritten note from Karen taped to his door. "You're welcome." HOA Jake's blood boiled, but he wasn't one for rash moves. He called his friend Lila, a sharp-tongued lawyer who dealt with HOA nightmares before. "This is gold, Jake," Lila said, her voice practically gleeful. "Karen just violated federal telecom law. Let's make her sweat." The counterattack was swift and surgical. Lila drafted a cease and desist letter, citing the FCC's over-the-air reception devices ordered rule, which protected Jake's right to maintain the tower for satellite communications. The letter demanded that the HOA cover the $12,000 cost to replace the tower and warned of further legal action if they didn't comply. Jake also filed a complaint with the FCC, attaching photos of the destroyed tower and Karen's smug note. Skylink, meanwhile, sent their own legal team after the HOA, claiming Karen's actions had jeopardized their network's reliability and endangered rural customers. Karen, oblivious to the storm she'd stirred, strutted into the next HOA meeting, expecting applause for her decisive action. Instead, she was met with glares from the board, who'd just received Lila's letter and a scathing email from Skylink's lawyers. The room grew tense as the board president, Tom, a retired accountant who'd always found Karen's zeal exhausting, read the documents aloud. "Karen, did you cut down Jake's tower without permission?" he asked, his voice tight. Karen scoffed, tossing her hair. "It was an eyesore. I was enforcing our rules. He should thank me for keeping this neighborhood classy." But her bravado faltered when Tom revealed the kicker. Skylink had traced a brief service outage at the emergency response hub to the tower's destruction. The hub had lost internet for 20 minutes during a critical window, delaying a 911 dispatch for a heart attack victim. Gasps rippled through the room. Even Karen's loyal allies, the other HOA busybodies, shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Then came the twist no one saw coming. Enter Mrs. Evelyn Chun, a quiet widow who lived across from Jake and rarely attended HOA meetings. Evelyn, it turned out, was a retired telecom engineer who'd helped design satellite networks in the 90s. She stood up, her voice steady but laced with fury. "That tower wasn't just for Jake's business," she said, holding up a stack of technical specs she'd gotten from Jake. "It was a redundant node for a satellite uplink serving rural areas. Karen, your little stunt could have cost lives. And for what? Your obsession with aesthetic harmony?" The room fell silent. Evelyn's words hit like a thunderbolt, exposing Karen's recklessness in a way no one could ignore. Karen's empire crumbled in real time. The HOA board, desperate to avoid a lawsuit, voted unanimously to cover the tower's replacement cost and issued a public apology to Jake. Skylink's legal team agreed to drop their claims if the HOA paid a $5,000 fine to fund rural broadband expansion. Karen, humiliated, tried to deflect blame, insisting Jake should have gotten proper approval. But the board wasn't having it. They stripped her of her HOA presidency and banned her from future board roles, citing gross misconduct. Whispers spread that the board was considering a lien on her house to cover the costs if she didn't pay up voluntarily. Karen's fall was the talk of Willow Creek. Neighbors who'd once cowered under her reign now openly mocked her. Her pristine lawn sprouted a for sale sign within weeks, as she couldn't handle the glares and gossip. Jake, meanwhile, had his tower rebuilt, this time with a sleek camouflage paint job that made it nearly invisible. He even invited Evelyn over for coffee, where they bonded over their love of tech and laughed about Karen's epic miscalculation. In the end, Jake's quiet resilience and Karen's reckless arrogance told a timeless story. Power without wisdom is a recipe for ruin. Willow Creek learned to value function over form, and the HOA chastened, revised its bylaws to align with federal telecom laws. Jake's tower stood tall, a silent reminder that sometimes the eyesore you hate is the lifeline you need. What do you think, was Karen's punishment fair, or should she have faced more consequences? Share your thoughts below.